Well, I think what you just described, and maybe plateau isn't the great word for it. I think what you just described is an internalization, maybe, of something, right? And I'm a big fan of. I've always been the guy that pours all kinds of stuff in and then filters out what I'm focused. It filters everything out except for what I'm focused on, right? I'm a glutton for information
Gotcha.
to a point where
Yeah.
it's too much, right? It's just too much. But I feel like, and we've talked about this before. If I go to church on Sunday, I want to walk away with an aha moment. And so I'm listening very carefully because I want to catch it. I know it's there. So I want to catch it,
Mhm.
right? So I'm pouring in everything, looking for the aha, that one moment, right? That I can walk away with and say, okay, I'm gonna write that down in my little book, and that's something I'm gonna work on. But I think what you're talking about is you're talking about leveling up, right? You level up spiritually,
Yeah.
and when you level up and it becomes internalized, that is your new baseline, right? That's what you're talking about.
I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah. That is what I'm talking about. And I guess what it is perhaps I don't read as many books as you, and so I don't ever get satiated by the self-improvement stuff. I listen to a ton of podcasts and I listen to a ton or I watch a ton of videos and I read a ton of books with my ears, right? But I usually it's almost an instant thing. As it comes in, I go, "Important now? Nope," and it's gone. It
yeah,
it doesn't even it doesn't distract me for a moment because I live such a I have some very specific priorities, and my flow chart, the way that my brain works, my little bit of tism is it it just flows down and moves and it goes quickly and you can throw almost anything at me and it's all principle based. So even if it's brand new and I've never touched it before, it goes both filters out and either gets kicked out or I start to work on it.
right. And I think mine works a little different in that that makes perfect sense, and I can see how that works for you, right?
Yeah, for
And
me,
for me,
Mr. Robot, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. We have no emotions.
No
I
emotions,
think for
cold, stone
we're
cold.
cold. I think for me, it's and this might be an area where I have what I believe is a virtue that might be a vice, right? Because I'm pouring it all in, and I want the aha, right? And after you hear a
Mm,
bunch of stuff, aha is just I want inspiration, right? I want a smidgen of inspiration that makes me go, right? That's the next thing. And sometimes I don't
yeah.
get that. I go to church and I don't get that aha moment, even though I'm pouring all kinds of stuff in. And I'm not filtering, I'm listening for that one nugget. And if the nugget doesn't come or the nugget isn't present, I'm like, where's my nugget? I'm in, I'm, I need a nugget. I'm looking to be inspired. I'm there listening to be inspired. I want my nugget. And for me, I think that's what it is.
Mm,
It's maybe it's a difference in your gold comes in flakes and you filter all the flakes out
yes.
and it turns into a nugget, right?
Yeah.
When you weigh it all, it's, an ounce. And I'm letting all the flakes go by, focused, where is the dang nugget? Right. And so
Oh, interesting, yeah.
I go through these spells where I'm like, I haven't had a nugget in a long time. God, where's my
Gotcha.
nugget? You know what I'm saying? And so I think sometimes
Yeah.
when I go through that, what I don't want to do is say, I don't want to say I have to be inspired by a nugget. I want to say, what's going on in my life that I can focus on that gives me the juice so until the next nugget comes along, right? And so I want to go back to the basics of what I'm working on or whatever it is and try to internalize those things that I want to be part of my core, right? It's going back to the
Yeah.
free throw line and the around the world over and over, you know, waiting for the jumper from 30 feet that's beautiful. I don't know if I've said that well, but I think it's interesting that we have these different ways of absorbing things, right? Or finding those things
Yep.
that affect us. Here's the cool part about it. What is it? Okay, I'm watching time because we want to stay within an hour here, don't we?
Yep.
The cool part about it is it all comes back to emotions, right? It all comes back to I want to be I want to be juiced, right? Seeing 100 little tiny little flakes doesn't thrill me. I want to be thrilled. I'm the guy that I'll give you an example. I saw a good friend of mine at Walmart a couple nights ago, and he had his youngest daughter with him, who is now 17. He and his wife were there with his youngest daughter, 17. I said, "Are you a senior?" And she said, "Yeah." And I put my hand on my friend's shoulder and I said, "Dude, you're only like a year away from being an empty nester, right?" And I grabbed him and shook him. And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh, it's so good. It's so awesome, man. It's so awesome." And he was standing there like, "What the crap?" And I was just thrilled because, his wife is standing there. He's a good man. His wife is a great lady. And they're just about at a point where they're not going to have kids around anymore. and it, that I
And the focus becomes 100% to them, to themselves, to each other.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
we can
yeah.
focus totally and completely on each other, and I just got all excited and thrilled, and I started shaking him, like, I grabbed his shoulders and was shaking him, and in that moment, I realized, I'm an idiot. What he was wondering, why would you be so thrilled for that for me? But that knowing that he gets to do that, it gives me joy, like it's a nugget. I get to celebrate his nugget in that
Yep.
moment, and I'm doing it because I need nuggets. Right? I wanna feel those.
Even if they're not yours.
Yeah, and that's emotion. That was
You know,
pure. His wife looked at me like I was cuckoo because, I'm cold and a robot, and I'm shaking him. I'm so excited, and I'm bouncing around. That to me is was she probably didn't appreciate it. I don't know if they appreciated it or not, right? But it wasn't about them. It was about me. It was about me expressing excitement for what I thought would be excitement for them. Now, it may not be excitement for them. Maybe they don't want their daughter to move out. I don't know, right?
well,
But
funny story, I had a very similar experience. I was, I went to the wedding of my good friend, it was actually Will Martin, you know Will.
yeah,
His daughter got married, and so we were invited to the ceiling, and I was so excited for him, and I'm like, "Well, this is so awesome." And he's like, "This is so hard." I was like, "What?
yeah,
How is this hard?" And it just I was celebrating his nugget,
yeah,
that he was like, "This is not a nugget, this is a dirt clod."
yeah, yeah,
And in reality, isn't that doesn't that just come full circle where we think we can interpret the way other people are feeling about a situation, and that ability to at to mislabel what someone else's the motivation and what they're feeling allows us to feel not contempt, hurt. What's the term? What am I looking for? Offended.
offended.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah, what happened there is I was watching my daughter get in the van in the camera. I was just like, "That's interesting. She's going to the back seat." But anyway, so they can get offended. We can get offended because we give someone something that is not true on the bad side. And in our 2 cases right here, we were excited. It was good from our perspective, so we weren't offended by it, but they might have been like, "No, this is horrible. I'm